The film begins with Faye and Vince in their car. When they see Marty and John coming out of an old factory, Faye asks Marty about a nearby address, and he describes it to her. At that moment, Vince pulls out his gun, threatens Marty, and tells him, "Drop the bag you're carrying and walk away if you want to live." Marty pulls out his own gun to defend himself, but Vince shoots him, and he falls dead. Faye then speeds away with the car. When they open the bag, they find it full of dollars. Faye is overjoyed and tells Vince that now they can go to Las Vegas. Vince tells her that he had expected to find only a small amount of money, but such a large sum must belong to criminals, and they will surely come after them. Therefore, they must go to a distant place and disappear for 6 months or a year. Faye tells him, "Give me half the money and let me go to Vegas." He replies that if this money is going to separate them, he will burn it. He forces her to stop the car and takes over the driving. After a short while, he says he needs to use the bathroom and takes Faye and the money bag with him. At that moment, Faye strikes him on the head with a stone, knocking him unconscious. She takes the money bag and the car keys and escapes. After some time, we see Faye in a motel, counting the money and discovering that it exceeds $800,000. She reads an advertisement for the private detective Jack Andrew, notes his office number, and writes it on a matchbox. We then move to Jack's office, where Vic and Justin are searching the place but find nothing. Justin tells Jack that he borrowed $10,000 from them and was supposed to repay it today. At that moment, Vic finds a photo of Jack with his deceased wife. When he makes a comment about her that Jack does not like, Jack violently punches him. Then Justin strikes Jack, breaks his finger, and tells him they will give him 10 days to pay back the loan, otherwise they will kill him. They then leave. Later, Jack's secretary enters the office and tries to clean it, but he tells her to leave everything as it is because he will not work anymore. That same night, we see a young boy running out of a roadside restroom telling his father that there is a wounded man inside. At that moment, Vince regains consciousness. When the boy's father asks, "Are you okay?" Vince replies, "Yes," and asks him to take him to a place he will show him. The next morning, Faye goes to Jack's office and tells him that she used to love someone who beat her violently, so she left him, but he keeps following her everywhere. Jack asks, "What do you want from me?" She replies, "Kill me." Jack says that he does not understand what she wants. She takes $5,000 out of her bag and tells him, "I will give you $10,000, half in advance and the rest after you carry out what I ask. I want you to fake my murder and leave at the crime scene everything that proves to the police that I was killed. I also want you to get me a new identity and documents so I can live under any name you choose for me. Then the newspaper will publish that I was killed, and my former lover will stop chasing me." Jack tells her that what she is asking for is forgery and fraud, and that he cannot do such a thing. She shows him the marks of beating on her body and tells him that this is her only way to escape her lover's pursuit. She keeps crying until he finally agrees. The next day, Jack meets his friend in a bar, tells him everything that happened, and asks whether he will help him or not. His friend agrees. Jack asks him to bring a bag of blood of type O negative, since it is the same blood type as Faye's. At the same time, Faye goes to a motel and rents a room from Tim, the son of the motel owner, and spends a long time talking with Tim, as Jack instructed her. The next day, she meets Jack, who gives her her new identity under the name Virginia, and tells her that the plan will be carried out at night. In the evening, he picks her up from a casino and takes her to the motel. Before entering her room, she greets Tim, while Jack is with her. Inside the room, Jack drenches Faye's body, her dress, and the bed with the blood he took from his friend. He then takes her bag and the money she won at the casino and scatters them randomly around the room. After that, he wraps her in the bedsheet and carries her out of the room. At that moment, we discover that Faye forgot the matchbox with Jack's name and phone number in the room. When they leave the room, he places her in the trunk of the car and intentionally drives in front of Tim, having changed his appearance and wearing sunglasses and a cowboy hat. After some time, Jack stops in front of another motel and agrees with Faye to return for her after 2 hours to collect the rest of his payment. He then drives until he reaches a river, stops the car, opens the trunk, and places Faye's blood-stained dress inside. He releases the handbrake and lets the car roll into the river. At that moment, Jack remembers when he and his pregnant wife were in the car, and suddenly a deer appeared on the road. He swerved, the car fell into the river, and although he tried to save his wife, she drowned. Jack snaps out of his memories when his friend arrives at the location as agreed, bringing the car that Jack will use to return. Jack removes the glove he was wearing and tells his friend that he is going back to Faye to collect the rest of his money. When he reaches the motel and enters Faye's room, he does not find her. When he asks the motel owner, the man tells him that she paid the bill and left. Jack realizes that she has deceived him. He goes to show her photo to an airport employee and learns that she used the fake identity he made for her and traveled to Las Vegas. He asks about the time of the first flight to Las Vegas and is told that it is at 11 a.m. The next morning, two detectives wake Jack from his sleep and tell him that he is under arrest on charges of murdering Faye Forster. They take him to the station and interrogate him. He says that he has never heard this name before. They confront him with Tim and ask him, "Is this the man who was with Faye on the day she was killed?" He answers, "No." The officer tells him they will release him, but he is forbidden to leave the state without written permission. The next day, Vince is in a restaurant reading the news of Faye's murder and learns that Jack is a suspect in her killing. He becomes furious and leaves the restaurant. When Jack returns to his office, he packs his bag and tells his friend, "I want you to find out the name of the hotel she is staying at in Las Vegas, and when I arrive there, inform me." They leave the office together and find Tom and Justin standing in their way. Jack tells them that he still has 3 days left of the deadline they gave him. Justin tells him, "Pay half the amount now and the rest in 3 days. And don't even think of running away, because we will find you." Jack gives him the $5,000 he took from Faye, and he and his friend leave. Then Vince enters the office, brutally beats Jack, and asks him about Faye. Jack says he does not know her. Vince intensifies the beating. Jack threatens him with a gun from his desk drawer, but Vince discovers that the gun has no bullets and attacks him again. Jack disables Vince, steals his wallet, leaves the office, gets into Vince's car, and drives off. At the same time, we see the gang boss who gave Jack the loan calling Jonesy, the right-hand man of Marino, the mafia boss. He tells him that he learned from John that the money stolen from Marty, which belonged to Marino, was in bundles of $100 bills, each bundle worth $20,000 and wrapped with a green rubber band. He also tells him that a man named Jack Andrew took a loan from him and paid his men $5,000 in bills with the same specifications. Jonesy thanks him and says they will deal with Jack. The next day, Jack calls his friend and learns that Faye is staying at the Hilton Hotel in Las Vegas. So he goes to her at the hotel and tries to learn her room number from the receptionist, but the clerk refuses to give it to him and tells him that he will call her to come down. When he calls her, she does not answer, so he informs Jack that she is not responding. At that time, Faye is in the casino inside the hotel, with a bundle of the money she stole in front of her. One of the mafia men is among the gamblers. He notices the bundle of money, calls Jonesy, and tells him what he saw. On the other side, Jack goes up to Faye, pulls her away from the gambling table, and takes her up to her room. There, he tells her that he met her former lover. She asks him, "Did he find out that I'm still alive?" He tells her, "No, not yet." She apologizes and tells him that she was afraid and ran away. Then she opens her bag, inside which there is a gun. When she finds that the amount of money in the bag is not enough, she slings the bag over her arm, goes to the place where she hid the money in the room, opens the money bag, and gives him $5,000, then closes it. He pushes her, opens the bag, sees the money, is shocked, and says to her, "Explain this to me, where did you get all this money from?" At that moment, Jonesy and John enter the room. John tells Jonesy that these are the two who killed Marty and stole the money. Jonesy points his gun at them and asks where the money is. Jack sees the bag on the floor, picks it up, opens it, and shows Jonesy the money. At that moment, Faye raises her purse and shoots Jonesy without even taking the gun out of the bag. John panics, drops the money bag, and flees the room. When Faye is sure that Jonesy is dead, fear appears on her face. She says to Jack, "I don't want to go to prison." Jack grabs the money bag, takes her with him, and they rush out of the room. We then see them in the car speeding away from the hotel. When Jack says to her, "Tell me everything that happened," she replies, "Drive the car now, and I'll tell you later." He drives toward the police station, and when they reach it, he stops the car. At that moment, Faye breaks down and tells him, "Get out of here quickly." He replies, "I won't move from here until you tell me everything." She tells him everything that happened and begs him, while completely shattered, not to hand her over to the police. At that moment, a police officer approaches the car and asks Jack if everything is all right, and he replies, "Yes." After that, Jack drives off, stops at a roadside supermarket, and switches their license plate with the license plate of the supermarket owner's car. Then they check into a hotel in the Overton area. That same night, Jack tells her that he wants her to go with him to a place called Safe Harbor in Maine, where they will start a new life together. She agrees. The next day, they hear on the radio that one of the mafia men was killed at the Hilton Hotel in Las Vegas, and that Faye and Jack Andrews are the suspects, and that the police have set up roadblocks along the highway to arrest them. Faye says to him, "Kill me again so that Vince and the police will stop looking for me, and it would be better if you kill us both." After a while, Jack calls his friend and tells him that he is going to live in a distant place. He says he will send him money, he can take half for himself and give the other half to Jack's office secretary. When the friend asks, "Where are you?" Jack refuses to tell him. But after Jack ends the call, his friend calls a telephone operator and asks her about the source of the call he received. She tells him that the call came from the Overton area in the state of Nevada. This call becomes Jack's fatal mistake, because Vince goes to the friend, tortures him until he confesses Jack's location, and then kills him. At the same time, Jack tells Faye about the plan they will carry out. He tells her that he will bury the money on Native American land near the river on the border of Arizona. The next day, they will board a yacht, he will sink the yacht, and then they will swim together until they reach the Native American area. Then they will retrieve the money and reach the state of Arizona through the reservation. The police will know that he was the one who rented the yacht, and when they see the wreckage of the yacht, they will think that both of them drowned. This will allow them to start a new life together. After that, they return together to their hotel room. At that moment, Jack tells her that he will take the money to bury it on the reservation and will return after 2 hours. She tells him that she is not comfortable with this plan. He says, "Don't you trust me?" She replies, "No, I do trust you, and I will wait for you until you come back." He takes the money, goes to buy digging tools, buys a cloth bag as well, goes to the reservation, digs a hole, buries the money, and returns to her. At that moment, he is shocked to find Vince in the room and sees Faye tied to the bed. Vince asks him about the location of the money. He tells him, "I don't know." Vince beats him, threatens him with the gun, and says, "I will kill you." Since Jack knows that Vince cannot kill him because he is the only one who knows where the money is, he challenges him and says, "Go ahead, kill me." But Vince does not kill him. Jack then tells him, "You will let me go and get the money. Faye and I will take half of it, and I will leave you the other half of what is in the bag." Vince tells him that he needs time to think. Then he cuts the telephone cord, ties Jack with it, locks him inside the wardrobe, and goes to attack Faye. She shoots him. After that, she opens the wardrobe door for Jack, and they escape together and go to the reservation. When Jack pulls out the money, he is shocked to find Vince standing in front of him. Faye pulls out a gun, points it at Jack, and shoots him. Jack falls into the river. Vince fires another shot into the river to make sure that Jack is dead. At that moment, a Native American man and his wife appear. Faye grabs the money bag, and she and Vince get into the car and escape together. Faye then discovers that the bag they took contains no money. She says to Vince, "Turn back quickly." At that moment, a police car chases them. They keep driving. Faye pulls out the gun and shoots at the officer who is chasing them. Then the car swerves off the road and crashes into a fuel truck, and their car explodes. At the same time, the Native Americans rescue Jack and pull him out of the river. He takes the cloth bag in which he had secretly moved the money and buried it near the other bag. When they tell him that he must go to the hospital, he refuses, so they tell him that they will take him to Arizona to treat him in their settlement. Jack gets into the Native Americans' car, and they cross the border into Arizona. In this way, Jack is the one who ends up with the money, and in the eyes of the police he is now dead, and he will be able to start his life anew.